so. There's a lot of really exciting and very visible initiatives going on with the MCDM program. And I can let Hanson talk more about that, but he's also, you are also HRH Media, which is an award-winning operation making great documentaries, spanning a spectrum from the very serious to the less serious, or nothing serious, nothing at all serious. And prior to that, Hanson was a war correspondent for NBC News. And I said last night, oh, I admire that. That's kind of stepping outside your comfort zone. And Hanson, who is a Canadian but world traveler, said, well, at that time that was in my comfort zone. And so he brings that perspective to it too.
Because Canada is an ongoing war zone. So. Yeah,
Canada being such a scary place. So we're going to hear from Hanson talking about the MCDM program. Give him a warm welcome.
David neglected, out of full disclosure, to mention that he actually teaches in the program as well. So we're happy to have him there. And thank you for joining us in this conversation. The website for the MCDM is right there, mcdm.uw.edu. I've got pamphlets, and that's my Twitter, HRH Media. And so this is not just a pure show and tell about a graduate program. I really want to frame it in terms of where we think communication is going. The program itself is actually for professional communicators, people who from the gamut from journalists to marketers to public relations to anybody who's trying to figure out how to communicate with influence and persuasion in the 21st century. And I didn't.
There is a on switch.
Is this it was working before? Yeah.
There is a switch to on there.
Yeah, sorry guys. Let's go back to that. Let's get back to this. I'm using Prezi, as you can see. It was wrong before. If not, I might just have it. There we go. You did that. Okay. So in the last 12 months, there were two awards handed out that I thought are really indicative of where we're heading with communication and digital media generally. And I'll explain to you in a bit why, but there was Advertising Age's Marketer of the Year Award for 2010. And then there was the George Pope Awards for Excellence in Journalism. And both of these awards and the recipients of the awards are fairly unorthodox and pretty interesting in terms of where we are headed. And the reason I mention is that because we are still making this transition out of this old world of communications. We see it especially in our program as people are trying to make that transition themselves and that career transformation from what they're used to. And what they're used to is what I used to be used to.
Hi, Lester. Well, it's quite an amazing scene behind me. That's exactly right.
No
they have to claim full responsibility for that particular area. They've been calling this devastating fire the beast. Even here, the Arab-Israeli conflict is never far from view. Navy Special Forces and SEALs took this terminal. The USS Abraham Lincoln is known as the largest warship in the world.
So that's my background. I come from the old world of television, news, journalism, going to Columbia for journalism, then getting hired by NBC, and then making the transition out. But very much, if you look at it as the church, which is where traditional journalists look at what they do, investigation, reporting, and their goal is the truth. Now, for those of you who like to get paid more money and work in marketing, it's about messaging, target market, and sell. This is the traditional sort of separation between church and state. And to have the conversation about the lines that are blurring between the two is a very difficult one to have for people who come from those traditional disciplines. And it's one that we are pushing forward, and it's very much representative of our program. We do not want to be seen as a journalism program, but nor are we a marketing program. We're somewhere in between. Some might say public relations is actually the holy grail of the two. And so this was based on a system of filtering information, polishing it till it's shown like crazy, and then publishing it to the world, because there were a limited number of distribution outlets, limited information, and what was abundant is that we all had more time a few years ago, and we trusted a lot more, because we trusted those brand names, that all they did was disseminate information, whether that was the New York Times or a trusted corporation. Today, that has been turned on its head, and as you all know, somebody once, I think Amazon's chief scientist said that we now have more information in the history of our species than ever before. And so we have this abundance, but it's actually too much. And what's really scarce right now is attention and trust. So this is the situation in the ecosystem that we're facing and what we're looking to in our program. And so to me, those two awards that I indicated at the outset are turning points, or at least they're points that help us understand where this is